This is Danny Flexen here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined once again by unbeaten heavyweight Demsey McKean. Demsey, how you doing, mate?
I'm good now. Now that everything's kind of signed and locked in, and the announcement's been made, it's great. It's finally good to get finally good to get a big fight. So more than happy about that.
Yeah, you're going to be fighting the IBF #1 contender, another unbeaten heavyweight in Filip Hrgovic on the same show as Anthony Joshua's rematch with Dillian Whyte. Great addition to the card. It was very well received when it was announced yesterday. And you said there you're happy now it's all been signed and sealed. Having come so close previously to fights with the likes of Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, how kind of skeptical were you about this opportunity when it was first mentioned?
Hrgovic was pretty keen for the fight, which obviously made it a lot more receptive. And Eddie and Frank, and they said the fight will be made. They gave us their word. The fight will be made. The fight is there to be made. It was just a bit of a mix-up with dates. It was going to be August 12th or it was going to be September 9. And obviously we've been training for August 12th. We've known about this for about a month, so wasn't too happy about it getting moved back again to September 9. Obviously we were expecting to fight in May and then June and July, and then it was August. So it's good to finally get that date. And, I've been in the gym training hard since pretty much end of December. Prepping for a date, and we've taken some time off accordingly to make sure we don't burn out. But mate, we're on good stead for August 12th.
How much respect then do you have for Hrgovic for taking this risk? Because it is a huge gamble on his part. He's IBF #1. He could sit on that ranking if he chose to. And instead he's taken on a young, hungry, unbeaten contender.
Yeah, definitely. Look, we're both signed with Matchroom as well. And I think as a #1 mandatory, you can't really take too many easy fights. You still got to fight some respectable names in that. And, depends what happens with Usyk and Dubois. They're fighting in August as well, and then there's a possibility of them maybe fighting Fury, and then that fight's going to get made. So I think Hrgovic obviously doesn't want to sit on the sideline too long. He wants to stay active. Obviously he wants to fight a southpaw fighting next, who's a southpaw. He's just come off the back end of a camp with Zhang, who is a southpaw. So I think fighting a southpaw makes sense to him, which is first time in my life that someone's ever wanted to fight a southpaw. The fights have fallen through in the past because people don't want to fight southpaw. Simple. So, and definitely the pressure's all on him, and he's probably overlooking me as well. I haven't had that big fight, the big test yet. So, but, I'm a different fighter now, and I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm quite confident leading into this.
How much of an eye have you kept on Hrgovic as you have been on the way up and he's been doing what he's doing? Like, was it a fight you always saw in your future?
Yeah, definitely. Like, obviously he's kind of tied in with Matchroom a little bit as well. So that was the trajectories and where we ended up in our careers. But I think my resume is just as good as his. Obviously he's got the fight with Zhang, which is a bit skeptical, that win there. So, I thought just as good a competition he has, if not better, apart from the Zhang fight. So, which I found he struggled a little bit in that fight. So there's, I think I'm more of an awkward southpaw than Zhang as well, and I'm going to pose a few more threats as well. So we've been training hard, we've been studying, and been working out a game plan as well. And the team and myself.
How much do you take from that Zhang fight? Because as you said, he did struggle, particularly in the early going. A lot of people felt he was fortunate to get the decision when it was all said and done. He talked about, how he wasn't ready. The death of his father hadn't come not long before that fight. How much can you rely on that as an indicator of his qualities?
Yeah, like obviously, so with a average performance always comes a few excuses, but obviously the death of his father would play a big part in that as well. Speak from experience in that, but I wouldn't imagine it would have been too nice to go into a fight with the loss of your father. But in that fight, it looked like he was looking for a way out numerous times in that fight. And I think if Zhang just had a bit more fitness, a bit more pace, and pushed that, I think he could have got the stoppage. So I think he's got that in him, to kind of quit like that. You either have that or you don't. So if I can impose my will a little bit and make for him to look for a way out, I've got the fitness and the conditioning to push for that stoppage, I think.
When you're in the gym with Tony, are there specific things you'll be working on for Hrgovic compared to what you'd normally do in training? Are there certain standout qualities about him?
Yeah, definitely. There's some things that he likes to do, and there's some things that we're going to be doing to kind of counter that as well. So we are working on a specific game plan and things that we find are going to work for us. And, you know, with some good sparring, we're going to be flying in some good sparring very shortly, and we can get a lot of good rounds of Jordan Thompson, a cruiserweight from the gym, who's pretty much a heavyweight. He's a big unit, that's for sure. A little bit taller than me, and you know the weight of a heavyweight, but he's got the speed and the fitness and the pressure of a cruiserweight. So I'm getting some really good rounds in with him at the moment, and you know, yeah, everything's really going good in camp at the moment. So I'm quite excited.
On the mandatory rotation, obviously you got Usyk, who's the unified champion. He's fighting the WBA mandatory and Daniel Dubois, as you mentioned, also in August, at the end of August.
Yeah.
And then the next up on the rotation is the IBF. Now, yeah, we all want to see Usyk against Fury after the Dubois fight and after Fury's dealt with Francis Ngannou. But if that doesn't happen, your next fight after this one, if you beat Hrgovic, could be a world title shot. It's like it's imminent.
Yeah, exactly. You can't get much more fast track than this. You know, we've been waiting for a big fight, and you know they've delivered and given us Hrgovic on a platter, ready for the take him out next in line. Saudi as well. You know, the pot of gold on the rainbow at the end of the rainbow after this fight as well, and you know, getting a world title shot like that. And obviously, Fury's fighting end of October, and with his kind of run sheet at the moment, you know, he probably won't be looking at fighting for another year after that as well. So I don't think that fight's really going to be getting made now. I think it's going to be the IBF shot straight after, and obviously Usyk likes to take on. Obviously, his team is quite easy to deal with from what I've seen, and my manager knows his team quite well. And Aegis, we've already kind of talked about that, and they said, "Yep, comes ahead." But obviously, August 12th, got to take out Hrgovic first, and then the rest will follow.
And presumably, as you're talking about Usyk and how easy that fight would be to negotiate, you expect him to get past Daniel Dubois?
I think so. I think he boxes, but I can't rule him out. You know, Dubois is still a good fighter. He's got a punch his chance. I think Usyk is probably just going to be a bit too much movement for him, and I think he'll get the 12 rounds point decision win.
And then it's on to you. I suppose I should ask as well about the main event on the show you're fighting on, Joshua against Whyte, the rematch. I was at the press conference earlier this week. Not as feisty as maybe some were hoping. I guess they're all a bit kind of older, more experienced now. But what do you make of that fight?
Just in overall of the fight. So I think obviously AJ will probably come away with the win. I think going off their past performances, you're only as good as your last performance. Obviously fighting the same opponent, Jermaine Franklin. So I think AJ, I think he boxes smart. I think he gets a win, maybe even possibly the stoppage. I think Dillian's starting to come at the end of his tether. He hasn't really looked the best in his couple performances. For British and for the world boxing, especially heavyweight. You know, at least we're starting to get some momentum with the heavyweight division now. Obviously, Usyk, Dubois, myself, Hrgovic, Zhang and Joyce too, and then you got Fury off the back doing God knows what in his exhibition fights as well as a current world champion. So it's a crazy time at the moment, but at least the rest of the heavyweight division are moving, and you know everything is starting to look a bit better this year.
What do you make of that then? Because you've mentioned it a couple of times now, and I know I brought it up as well. Fury against Ngannou, and just the general inactivity as well, and not fighting an actual boxer, because they're the camp from what they're saying is, well, we haven't got a mandatory, so we're going to make as much money as we can. What's your kind of counter to that?
Yeah, it's mad. I guess you can't really speak on it unless you're the one making that money. You know, I don't know what he's making. I've heard rumors of 30 million or something like that, but you know, they definitely haven't tried to make a fight. Obviously, they could make a fight easily. You know, they could have made a fight with me. They could have made a fight with 10 other guys in the world rankings. You know, obviously they're making it hard for everyone. I don't think he's done best capability of trying to Usyk fight. Yeah, maybe they have this in the pipeline the whole time as well. Hence why they're trying to stuff down any other fight and try and make this one. So I don't think it's good for boxing as a current WBC heavyweight champion when we're trying to be making unified, undisputed champion as well. So. I guess he does what he wants to do, really. WBC have given him the blessings as well. Yeah, I know for a fact they could have made a fight easily if they really wanted to.
And bringing it back to you just before I let you go, after all the kind of near misses with these big fights, and now on the verge of possibly 2 huge fights in a row, if all goes well, how do you feel? It must make all the sacrifices in terms of moving over here worthwhile.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I haven't really been that active. I've only had 3 fights in almost 2 years and a couple of injury setbacks. And obviously, we've been trying to land a big fight this year and not take any more stay busy fights. Obviously, the bigger fights do take a little bit more time to kind of, get working and signed and sealed and delivered. So, but it's happened now. It's taken a little bit of time, but my team Ace Boxing and Matchroom have delivered this as well. And it's just up to me now to perform and bring home the win.
Great stuff. Mate, I'm delighted for you. We've obviously had these conversations a few times more speculative, and now you've actually got the big fight in the book. So, yeah, I can't wait to watch it, and, yeah, really happy for you.
Lovely, mate. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Take care. See you soon.